What's happening, CSTers? Welcome to the big show this Monday evening. Glad you're with us. I am Nick Suberling. To all you moms out there, I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day weekend there in the Queen City. No FC Cincinnati match to talk about, but we've got a big show in store for you this week because this upcoming weekend, TQL Stadium hosts its very first Major League Soccer game. And to join us a little bit later on in the show is President of FC Cincinnati, Jeff Berding, to discuss this weekend's events and everything that led up to FC Cincinnati opening this palace there in the West End. Coming up a little bit later on in the show as well, because, hey, it's a new stadium. That means new traditions that are going to be started this weekend as well. Jared Handra from the Innenstadt, he's the president of DI and a board member of the Incline Collective, will be joining us a little bit later on in the show as well to give us the lowdown on all of that. Of course, if you're watching us live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, we certainly appreciate you tuning in this evening. And of course, if you're listening after the fact and want to leave us some feedback, we're always appreciative of that. Hit us up, email feedback@CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Before I introduce my cast of characters for this week, this episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk is brought to you by Fulcrum Fives, five-a-side soccer. Cincinnati's newest five-a-side indoor soccer facility offering leagues, pickup games, and field rentals for team trainings, located at 11510 Grooms Road in Blue Ash. Fulcrum Fives is a uniquely crafted facility providing both high-quality soccer and a welcoming environment. Whether you are an experienced player, beginner, or spectator, Fulcrum Fives helps bolster your passion for the beautiful game and provides access to a soccer-loving community. Their field surface was created in Italy from a FIFA-accredited turf manufacturer featuring non-infill turf, so no more rubber pellets, and it's designed specifically for high-quality 5-on-5 play. Adult leagues are launching in June, and Cincinnati Soccer Talk listeners get 10% off your first league fee with discount code SoccerTalk. So sign up on their website over at fulcrumfives.com, or you can email Mark over at soccer@fulcrumfives.com to join. And you can also find out what they're up to over on Instagram and Facebook at Fulcrum Fives. And we certainly appreciate their support of what we're doing here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk. All right, before we get to our main guest this evening, I want to welcome in my co-host for this week. I welcome back to the show, Mr. Brian Weigel. Brian, how are you doing, sir?
Doing well. It's surreal. We have a game week at home for the first time in years. Well, that's true. First time in years. But it's actually our home now. And I can't wait to go down there. I've been talking with Brad and my cousin Pete, and we're making plans for what we're going to do on Sunday. And man, I'm ready for the day. Can't get here soon enough.
Yeah, it's a long time coming for sure. And again, looking forward to having you on the show this week, Bri, as always. And joining us also this week, you know him as the Wolf Man, Bill Wolf. Bill, what's going on, buddy?
Oh man, kind of the same as Brian. I'm just psyched up. I mean, this stadium is phenomenal. I've been there several times. Obviously, meet your seats, and I haven't played my drums in front of a crowd for soccer for not years. I think that was an inaccurate statement, but many months. So, and I'm quite excited to get back there. There's been so much activity in the supporters groups, and obviously we'll talk about that a little bit today, I think, at the end of the show. But just so much going on to try to get ready for this monumental event.
You sure it's not years? Wouldn't it have been 2019?
Yeah, but when? Like October?
Fall 2019? So
yeah, it's been over a year.
See, it's been a year. It's been a year and a half, right? I mean, you can go, if you go by just the dates, yes, 2 years, but it's probably been 18 months.
Well, yeah. Well, it'll be fun to hear it on TV for sure. Unfortunately, I will not be able to make the match this weekend, but I'll be watching it up here in Toledo, Ohio. Jealous of both of you for being there, of course. Again, we've got feedback, or if you have feedback on this week's show, let us know. Feedback at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Hit us up on Twitter as well at Cincy Soccer Talk. Well, we're pleased to have the man of the hour joining us here on the CST hotline. He is none other than FC Cincinnati president, Jeff Berding. Jeff, welcome to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. How are you, man?
Good to be on as a guest. It's been a while. I just listen on Facebook. So Thanks for having me. Congratulations on what you guys have developed here over the past 6 years.
Well, we appreciate that, Jeff, and we appreciate you tuning in and listening as often as you do. We know you're a busy man. How excited, how anxious are you for this week, and how fast has this process gone for you since groundbreaking?
Well, we're certainly proud of the stadium that we've built, and we're looking forward to showing it off. I think we're really excited just to have fans back. It's, we built this club together organically, and it's been horrible. It's been heartbreaking. I can't even put the words what it's been like to not have our fans be a part of FC Cincinnati for, it does feel like years. And so we're certainly looking forward to this weekend, but I want to say it's bittersweet because, we saw COVID, the pandemic, the governor's orders, and yeah, we've had to tell a bunch of season ticket holders who are wonderful supporters of the team. Many have been with us back, 2018 and at Nippert, and we're not allowed to have everyone in the stadium, and it's so that makes me not enjoy the prospect of this weekend. Frankly, a good deal because I can't be there with everyone who helped us build the club.
Well, Jeff, we want to focus on the stadium during the show. We're so pumped to be down there. I got to tour it last week with my son, and what a memory that was to show him the future home of his football club. And I just this whole process has been surreal, and Sunday can't come soon enough. I'm sure you've had a large part in designing the stadium. What's your favorite aspect or your favorite part of the stadium?
Well, I'm certainly looking forward to the Bailey rocking and the aluminum and the drums and the noise going up and then bouncing off the roof and right back down. I think it's going to be a really loud stadium. I think we've done a lot of details right, and we've had that feedback from a bunch of people, from the commissioner, and had some people come through from some other big soccer organizations, and and it celebrates Cincinnati. I think fans, and Carl said this the other day, fans are going to want to come a little bit early and just walk around and take it all in. The team store is awesome. The entrance is really cool. Obviously the concession stands, I think the food and drink experience is going to be outstanding. There's not a bad seat in the house, that's for sure. The technology part, I think that in terms of the fan experience, being able to take pictures, upload pictures and whatnot. Someone from the league was sharing that I call it the Bailey board. That's the southeast one. That's about what they have in a couple of the other new stadiums. And of course, we have the enormous video board right behind the Bailey. And but I'll give you something small since you asked, Brian. If you walk on the west side of the stadium and you say you come in the north gate and your seats are in the southwest corner. If you were to walk towards where the club is, you wouldn't be able to walk through the club because that's all inclusive. And so you would have been faced as a fan with the prospect of being told you have to turn around and go all the way back around, literally back around, when you're like, but my seats are just right there on the other side. And so we built a walkway so that you can just sort of go around the club on an outside walkway above the west entrance, and then just easily get to your seats, a minute or two more. And that would have been very easy to value engineer out. I was showing it to Carl and Martha Linder the other night. And he said, you didn't even bring that. I don't remember us talking about that. And I said, well, because we didn't, because I refused to take that out because I didn't want fans to have to turn around and go all the way back around all we have to do is just build this little walkway. Well, it wasn't so little because it cost a little bit of money. But for me, that's about being family friendly and having a great fan experience.
Awesome. I will also attest, that I think the Bailey and the aluminum is phenomenal. Obviously, I've got a chance to play my drums in there during Meet Your Seats and a couple other opportunities, and the sound is just phenomenal. It's completely different than Nippert, where it just felt like the sound just went off into the atmosphere somewhere. So kudos to the club for thinking of that, designing that into the Bailey as a feature, and certainly the roof line, not just to protect us from the elements, but also to to hold that energy inside the stadium. I think it's going to be phenomenal. My question for you, Jeff, trying to have a little fun here, but I mean, there must have been things that went wrong, right? I mean, we're talking about a $250 million project with thousands and thousands of moving pieces, right? So things had to go wrong. There has to be some sort of hiccups or a funny story somewhere that you can share with our listeners on something that you still chuckle about that didn't quite go as planned.
Chuckle? Chuckle about?
Come on.
Heartache about, maybe?
Okay.
I mean, look, how about we had to change the architect? You know, I wouldn't advise that. Changing the architect is not advisable, and yet, you know, we survived it. How about there's a global pandemic during construction, and you have to figure out a way to keep it going? How about there's a one of a kind crisis in Texas, and much of the state loses electricity. So all your electricians who can get paid multiple times their normal salary all go to Texas to work, and you're like, we have a stadium. By the way, you for people who come to the game, you may notice that in the concourses we have TVs, which is cool, except for maybe not all of them are working. They should all be working at the concession stands, but maybe not in every concourse. And that's because we're still doing some of the electrical work all the way, literally this week. Yeah, I mean, there's no question. There's been innumerable things that, didn't go exactly right. But I'll tell you the one that just sticks out, and this is a great story. When we switched architects, and Jonathan Malley from Populous came up with the idea, I told him we wanted something that was transformative, something that you wouldn't see anywhere else, something that was distinctly Cincinnati that we could be really proud of. And he came up with the idea of the vertical fins with the LED lights embedded in them. And so in the computer, it looked quite cool, but we're like, if it doesn't exist in any other stadium, how do you know this thing will work? So he put up a display out at MHTC behind the, on the field. This was, I don't even know. It was not last November, December, or January, maybe so a year ago before that. Anyway, the bottom line is Carl Linder and I went out there, a couple of our staff, and they turned them on, and they looked okay. And so we proceeded, and but you never really knew. And so the first night we turned them on, guys, and we had the music, and we invited folks down to check it out. Carl was out of town. Carl and Martha were out of town, and I sent him a text message that said, really very simple, Carl, they work, and they're awesome, because you just didn't know. You know what I'm getting at, like. Or is going to be bright enough. The imagery that we want to go, the lettering that we want to go across, is it really going to be discernible? Like we just, we took a chance on a pretty bold idea. And again, on the computer, it looked great, but how's it going to look in real life? Because it could have fallen really flat and people would have been like, eh. And then you'd have been like, we just spent a lot of money on a lighting effect that people are like, eh. But it turned out people were blown away, and we were blown away, and Don Garber was blown away, and I've had messages from people I met in Europe who showed me around their facilities, whether in the EPL or elsewhere, and people have seen that lighting show. I spoke at an international sports conference where, of course, virtually, so I was in Milford, and people had seen the video. They're like, show us the video, show us the video. So I showed them the video of the lights and told the story of how it came to be, and, it screams something very proudly Cincinnati.
Yeah, we're excited about how it's going to look, especially at a night game. Being a 4:00 kickoff on Sunday, you might not be able to see them as well, but it's still pretty exciting, especially for those Saturday night games. It's going to be an awesome sight there in the West End. We're hanging out with Jeff Berding, President of FC Cincinnati, here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. Jeff, obviously, anytime you're building a new stadium, whether it's football, baseball, and in this case, soccer, there's always a mad rush to get everything kind of finalized before the initial kickoff, right? I'd imagine there's still a lot of things that are needing to get done. Is there any additional stages to finishing out the stadium, or possibly any other development outside the stadium that probably won't be finished come Sunday?
Let me offer. I think from a fan experience standpoint, almost everything should be in place and working just fine. The analogy we've used is when you go to a wedding and the ice sculpture's not there, the guests all leave and think they had a great time, and only maybe the bride and groom and their families are like little miffed that the ice sculpture wasn't there. And we believe that that'll be the experience here. There'll be some things that weren't exactly up to where we want them to be, but we'll be ready, and I think the fan experience will be outstanding. At some point, we will do some things with around the stadium. I think folks know the ballet's building Cincinnati Ballet's building a beautiful facility on 71, just up below Eden Park. You can see it from the highway there, and they'll move in the fall. And when they move in, then that the ballet parking lot and the ballet building that are attached to Tri-State will be empty, and that'll give us some flexibility to do some things. But in terms of in the immediate future, there's just some things inside the stadium that, we'll continue to, bring to full completion. But I mean, you're talking about less than, 0.5% of some things, and pretty much all of it, guys, is just dealing with some of the electrical work.
We have some listener questions for tonight's show from Jeff Tebbets. What are the non-FCC plans for this stadium? What other events are planned to be held there? Of course, this past week we heard maybe a bowl game. Also hearing Sportsbook might be introduced down there at the stadium. What do you guys have planned?
Lots of things. Listen, we would like to have some music events. I'm going to be clear. I'm not saying lots of music events, but we would have some music events, and have talked to some people in the business. Obviously, we have some smaller facilities in town, and of course, the Reds and the Bengals both have music events at their place. But we think the size of our stadium, the closeness of the seats to the field, will make it a fun venue for the right performers. Certainly, we'd like to have some high school soccer, maybe some college soccer at the appropriate time. I think international friendlies, U.S. Soccer Federation, U.S. Women's National Team, and U.S. Men's National Team will be making appearances. I think there's a chance that we could have college football. I want to be fair, probably at the right time. The advantage of a bowl game, I think your listeners know, is tends to be at the end of the year, more like in December, and so you're not necessarily interfering with the soccer pitch, so to speak. During prime soccer match, the calendar. So, and then I want to stress this: we intend to have lots and lots of events, maybe hundreds of events, in the different club lounges and the team store. The team store can be cleared out, so you can have events there. So it's meant to be a community asset. We can have events on the East Plaza, the Grand Plaza. So I think there's going to be a lot of cool things. We'll do some things with the West End, some whether it be some music or some performers, arts, maybe health. But yeah, we want to make sure this is a community asset that's used on a regular basis.
I mean, we get to host the CST Christmas party at the West End Stadium, Jeff. Can we do that?
I think we should book it.
Okay.
Allison would love to schedule it. We already had our first wedding, by the way, scheduled. Nick Johnson from the West End is having his wedding, I think I believe in June.
Very cool.
Wow. And they can choose their colors because you got those LED lights. So anyway,
exactly.
So TQL Stadium, obviously we went with West End Stadium for quite a while. People started to get really, really comfortable with that name. And then you guys finally landed that big sponsorship. I know, some people have expressed some some dissatisfaction with losing their familiar West End Stadium name and giving into the corporate world for a name. But why don't you explain to our fans why that's so important to the club and what that means to them as fans?
Well, let me offer. I respect the fact that people liked West End Stadium, and certainly we're not trying to be disrespectful, but we've said that we want to be a winning club, a family-friendly club, and a franchise that's giving back and making the community better. Those have been the three pillars since I wrote it down on the legal pad, thinking about starting FC Cincinnati. So in soccer, there's not a big revenue stream that comes from the league. Each team pretty much has to operate based on what they can generate in market. And, most of the teams in the league either have a naming rights deal or they're actively working on a naming rights deal. And so to not have a naming rights partner puts you at a significant financial disadvantage. On the other hand, if you can get a really strong naming rights partner, then it puts you in a position to maybe have a financial advantage over some of the other teams. And with this stadium, we did more than double the number of suites, more than double the number of club seats. I'm speaking of MLS averages. We have great sponsors throughout the building. Some of them are going to be announced later this week. But when you think about sponsoring some of the gates and sponsoring some of the club lounges, and of course, Mercy Health on the jersey, at TQL Stadium, I mean, it puts us in a position to really, again, outpunch our weight class, overperform our market size to where we will be one of the top performing clubs in the league. And, we sort of signed Brenner and Acosta, and we have more signings to come, more plans to come. And a lot of that, those commitments are based on discretionary spend that is only possible if you have the means to make those financial commitments. And we do have the means because we have great partners. And specifically with TQL, we wanted a hometown company. That was important to us because we feel we're distinctly Cincinnati. And we found another company that is very ambitious, whose culture is very competitive, who is not wanting to be just one of the better logistics companies, but they want to be the best. They want to be the best in the country. And their culture aligned with our culture, and we are grateful to have their support.
You keep talking about ambition and kind of keep pushing the club in the right direction. This question's been sent to us several times over the past couple hours since we announced that you were coming on the show. And that is the plan still for a women's professional soccer team in TQL? Has there been any movement on that? I think there's a general hunger out there from our fan base.
And I say to the fan base, thank you and keep hungry. And we believe we will get there. Obviously, our focus, and I know everyone painfully gets this, but we rushed into Major League Soccer on the shortest turn. And clearly on the soccer side, we weren't ready. And we've paid, and our fans have paid a heavy price for going in so quickly and not being ready on the soccer side. Yeah, on the business side, we've performed quite well, and we continue to do so through now the opening of our stadium. And so I will say we've had conversations, and our intent is known at the appropriate levels. But as we've had the conversations about a women's team, we've been quite clear that we cannot be distracted right at this moment, because we must focus on finishing the stadium, opening the stadium, and having a first team on the men's side worthy of our stadium and our fans. Let us get that where it needs to be. And we're confident we will by the end of this year. But we're not there yet. And Carl didn't want us to be distracted, where we're putting a lot of energy and time into trying to figure out how do we introduce a women's team when we still have work to do. And it's time that we get the men's team worthy of our fans in our stadium.
Yeah. So obviously fans understand that, and they're looking for that success on the pitch as well. But just to follow up a little bit on the NWSL, maybe you can talk to fans about how the club has planned for that. I know that at Mercy Health Training Center, there has been the intention to have women's coaching staff in place. I know that even the locker rooms at TQL Stadium were designed specifically with women's teams in mind and things like that. So maybe fill in a couple blanks there and let our fans know that even though it's not the right time now, this is certainly has been in the plans and the long-term plans for the club.
So we do have the locker room facilities at TQL Stadium to have professional, an FCC professional women's team, as well as the visiting team. And we literally are currently underway with making some changes out at MHTC in terms of how we would do the second home locker room. So that would be compatible with at some time having a women's team in what has up to this point been known as the Academy Wing. So there's no question that it's something that all of our moves are to be aligned with continuing to build progress towards that future opportunity, whether that's in 22 or 23, I don't know. But if my earlier answer wasn't clear, it's something that's right in front of us on our radar. But we have to stay really focused right now. And my guess is the fans listening hopefully will appreciate that we're not talking about adding a women's team before we get the men's team, which is how we started this together. It's what is the basis of the stadium build. And we just have to get that part right. And once I feel like that part has the quality and the performance and the results warranted, then it gives me some time to maybe then start building and looking towards the next thing.
So I want to ask you, Jeff, because a lot was made this offseason about the new signings coming in with Brenner and Luciano Acosta. And there was a lot of excitement. I mean, we were excited here at CST. I know the fans were excited about the squad. I'm curious and would love your input on how do you feel the first three matches has gone? I know you're a super fan as well, but how do you feel the first three matches have gone for the club?
Well, certainly not the way I want.
Sure.
I mean, I'm frustrated. I'm sure like our fans frustrated. Let me make a couple points and with what I just said in your mind. Number one, listen, I just want to acknowledge, maybe this sounds like an excuse. I'm just trying to set the table for when the schedule came out. We knew we were going to have some number of games on the road to start the season because we weren't going to have the stadium ready until the middle of May. So right away, you're starting at home after you've played multiple games on the road. Probably not too dissimilar to Portland in 2019, where I remember they played multiple games on the road, including Cincinnati. And my recollection is didn't do quite so well, and then went at home because they did the significant renovation of their stadium. And my recollection is they maybe went to the Western Conference Finals that year after a pretty rough start. So yes, we've started three on the road. Here's the bad side. We gave up a lot of goals, didn't look too great, and obviously have one tie with two losses, frustrating losses. I think it's fair to acknowledge we played three straight road matches against 2020 playoff teams. These are good teams, and all three teams played against us. They're 11. Were either 11 or nearly all 11 starters from the playoff roster the year before. So not a lot of turnover. So you're playing some teams that, guys are pretty comfortable with each other, have a positive level of success with one another, and showed it and showed that we weren't there. So that doesn't mean I'm any less frustrated and unhappy, but I think we have to at least account for that. I think it's also fair to account injuries happen, but the one that we probably least could afford was Lucia Costa, who maybe is our most important player. And we worked real hard. Gerard and Hunter and our technical staff worked real hard in the offseason to have a very creative, dynamic attacking midfielder who looked, pretty good the first half against Nashville. And then he gets injured and he's missed the last 2 games. I mean, that's a big blow. I don't think you can overstate. That's a really big blow.
Mm-hmm.
And we're certainly hopeful that he can play this week. We said he was week to week. And so let's keep our fingers crossed. I think the positive is that the 2 designated player signings, Brenner and Acosta, they've both already scored. And I think they've showed, certainly Brenner, even this past Orlando match where he was playing more of a midfield, an attacking midfield role, showed that these are dynamic players with a lot of quality. And when they get back out there together, I think you'll see us play much better. Obviously, Isaac Atanga made his debut against Orlando. He has some different qualities than some of our other wingers, and so he will add something that's important. I think the biggest, of course, change is Gustavo Vallecilla has been involved in the team training. He traveled with the team to Orlando, and he could certainly make his first appearance in our home opener. So I think that's a positive. We've announced that we're going to continue to sign players to help us on defense, centrally focused. And so we're not going to stop until we have our defense to be a strength of the team, as opposed to what we've shown the first 3 matches. Obviously, we have one of the best in recent era, one of the best center backs to play is our head coach. And so you can understand that we're not going to stop until we can have strong center backs. And, there can be a mix of young center backs with an enormous high upside like Gustavo, or there could be some veterans that help, on field, keep a level of calmness, coaching with positioning, familiar with the league, and just bring a heightened level of confidence to the group, because we've seen when we're playing quite well, teams can press us and we can be quite comfortable to get out and then get out on the attack. And we have a lot of really attractive, dynamic attacking pieces that Gerard and Hunter and our group have brought to the roster. But obviously, if we're vulnerable to the counterattack or we can't get out of pressure, then we're not going to be as good as we want to be. And so, I'm excited. I think as our group continues, these few additional pieces, the group gets comfortable with each other. I think we can be a very good team this year. I know Carl expressed his confidence, and I certainly feel positive. But at the end of the day, I acknowledge, because I am a fan too, I just want to see results. And I'd love to see pretty soccer results, but at the end of the day, I just want to beat people. I just want to win. I want to get out there and just, maybe my football background, but I just want to go toe-to-toe and dominate and get wins for Cincinnati. And until we're doing that, no, I'm not going to be satisfied. No, I'm not going to be all excited. Yeah, do I want to open the stadium this week and I'm proud of the stadium? Sure I am. But, I feel it because I want it so badly for our fans who helped us build this club.
We appreciate your time here with us this evening, Jeff. And one last question here. I'm sure you guys are going to announce hopefully very soon when the governor will allow you guys to open up capacity for the stadium and for future games. But a lot of fans have told us through the comments section here tonight that they plan to be down at West End Stadium, the bar districts, on Sunday, even though they might not have a ticket. Is there anything special or maybe club, I guess, planned events outside the stadium that they might feel a little bit more special part of the day? Do you guys have anything going on for them?
Well, certainly, let me just share that the East Plaza is open before the game. So even if the gates are not open yet, anyone can come down and party on the plaza. And I know that a lot of our supporter groups, I think, are going to gather at Washington Park in OTR, and I think there'll be some programming there as well. I will share with your listeners. This is match 1 in the stadium, and on the 29th will be match 2. But the inaugural game will be when we're at 100%. So we're not doing a lot of festivities. We're not doing a lot of pageantry. We're not celebrating, so to speak, the match because all of our season ticket holders aren't with us. And so I am appreciative that people understand, and to the extent people feel like they're being hosed by the pandemic and by the governor's orders that are in the interest of keeping people safe. And we don't have to like them, and we could say we would do things differently. But at the end of the day, that's the world we live in. We've all gone through a pretty tough time, and we're almost there, but we're not there. And so look, like I said, we went through the process this past week. We waited as long as we could. I want to say that that's why people are like, why? I don't know yet. Well, we waited because we were hoping they would change their numbers. And we did all the surveys, and we got people's input that, hey, they want to be at the first game. Hey, they understand that it's going to be, we asked the questionnaire, 3 or 6 feet social distancing. Would you be comfortable? It's still 6. We asked, would you be willing to sit, in any open price point that wasn't obviously costing you more money in order to make sure you're in the building? People checked those responses. We end up sending 5 emails and a phone call to make sure everyone replied. And then we did assign based on seniority, but also with an eye towards where. So, I wasn't going to tell Bill Wolf, you can't be in the Bailey, but you can be in the Tunnel Club, but Bill, you owe me another $500. Like, you know what I'm getting at.
He's good for it, Jeff. We all know he's good for it.
Sure.
He's a high-powered job. But, like, for instance, in the Tunnel Club, I'm sorry, not the Tunnel Club, the Pitchview Club, 800 seats, all sold out. I think it's just a little over 200 people that are going to be there. So, it's awful. I mean, it's awful. We continue to lobby. You asked about sports betting earlier. I'm going to Columbus later this week to talk about sports betting. But yeah, we're also asking, other states are starting to open it. I saw Red Bull the other day. We're at 50%, which is what they shared with the league. We do see what all the other teams are at. And so we're starting to see, obviously, in a couple of the states, they can go up to 100. But just because they can go up to 100 doesn't mean that they have gone up to 100. Most people are, 50% or less, and some are quite less. So, look, we want to get to 100% as quickly as possible. We believe that'll be in July. Fortunately for us, we only have 3 games, 2 in May, 1 in June, before 4th of July. 3 home games before the 4th of July. So the chances are 14 games, hopefully, will be at 100%. And honestly, I know more about COVID and government and rules than I ever thought I could. And I pay a lot of attention and I say my prayers that come July, we're at 100%.
Well, I got to say, Jeff, you've been on the show many times. We always appreciate you coming by and talking with us and giving us the latest regarding the club and everything that you've been doing. We know you're a busy man. And I've said this to you before, like this show would not have happened had you not had the vision to create FC Cincinnati. And the fact that now, we're 5 years into this club and, you're a big reason why TQL Stadium is opening and FC Cincinnati is playing this match this weekend. I know that you're getting a lot of flack and you can't please everybody. It's not an easy position to be in. I certainly don't envy you on that side, but I just got to say, and I think I speak for a lot of us. When I say us, I mean fans of FC Cincinnati. We are super appreciative of what you do for the club and the fact that you were able to build this stadium in West End. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. And I speak for all of us at CST. We can't thank you enough for what you've done for soccer here in Cincinnati.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't view myself that way. I'm just a kid from Westwood who had a pretty good idea, and I had a lot of people like Jeff Smith and Dan McNally and others, and of course, most importantly, Carl Lindner, and then the fans. This thing grew organically, and I always, people, how'd you do it? We had a great fan base. People believed, people wanted to be a part, people were ready for something new and something different, and it just happened together. And so I'm real uncomfortable. I appreciate your nice comments. I humbly say thank you, but I don't view it that way. I just, I was the right person in the right place at the right time.
Well, we certainly thank you, and we're appreciative of it. And try your best to enjoy the week, and try your best to enjoy the match this weekend, Jeff. And we're looking forward to having you back on again here real soon.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for what you guys do.
That is Jeff Berding here on the CST hotline. We appreciate him being with us this week here on Cincinnati Soccer Talk. As always, Jeff brings it. I mean, he's super passionate about what he does, and it certainly shows every time he comes on the show to discuss the latest with FCC. And we thank him for taking a few moments out of his busy, what I'm sure is a very, very busy week for him with the stadium opening up this week. All right, it's that time of the show where we give a big shout out and thanks to our tremendous supporters. So let's give it up to Tim Bronsel, Tom Rose, Matt Adamczyk, Mike Hudson, Brian Malone, Jamie Smed, Jonas Tom, Jack Emery, Mike Bowman, Kathleen Francis, Matt Imholt, Matthew Long, Joe Colling, Tara Mullins, Riley, Stephen Burke, and Melissa Bingle. Thank you so much for supporting us here at Cincinnati Soccer Talk. To learn more on how you can support the show, head on over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support. This portion of CST is brought to you by the kind folks down at Rhinehaus. Rhinehaus, I'll tell you what, they are the bar to be at when it comes to soccer, folks. So they are Over the Rhine's original sports bar and the city's best soccer bar. They have 15 TVs ready to show you pretty much any match you're looking for. As an official FC Cincinnati pub partner, Rhinehaus is always a great place to be for home and away matches. They're just a short 15-minute march to TQL Stadium, which makes them a perfect spot for your pre- and post-game beverage needs. Recently voted best draft beer selection in the city. You'll always be able to find something delicious to help calm your nerves before the match and then to cheers to victory, hopefully, after the match. Make Rhinehaus your Rhine home for FCC game days and follow them on Twitter at RhinehausOTR. As I mentioned earlier on in the show, a new stadium, new traditions. And here to talk about some of the new traditions being formed by some of the supporters groups, we are pleased to have back on the show Jared Handra. Jared is the president of the Innenstadt and a board member of the Incline collective. Jared, welcome back to Cincinnati Soccer Talk. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
We are fantastic. Really excited to have you back on the show, Jared. Tell us a little bit about what the Incline collective is and how it differs from the Bailey.
Yeah, sure. So the Incline collective is kind of it's a new thing, that it's also the thing that's been around pretty much since the very beginning. It's just the collaboration between the supporters groups that support FC Cincinnati. And we just decided to come together and kind of form a more, I wouldn't say formal, but a more put together collective to do our tifos, drums, banners, flags, those sorts of things. The things we've been doing together for years. We just wanted to pull our resources together and make sure that this lasts for the next 100 years or so. I don't know.
So, Jared, with everything going on with the transition to TQL from Nippert, what steps, have you guys been doing as, a whole group to, transition that experience from Nippert to the West End?
Yeah, I mean, we basically started from ground zero. I mean, we really had to kind of go back and think about how we started things in Clifton at Nippert before we, started looking at what we did in West End Stadium. So, for everything from the march to the drums to the tifos to the flags, everything's changed. Home bars have changed, obviously. March route obviously has changed. So we really have kind of decided, when we started all this, we kind of just, said, all right, let's figure out where everyone's going to be bar wise, and then we'll kind of go from there. Right. So then let's figure out the march. Let's figure out, TIFOs. Let's figure out, where we're going to store things, who's going to bring what. And that's what the Incline was kind of there to do, right? Is to kind of better organize all those things that we do together, both home and away. So I think we've had a pretty good start.
Obviously, you've got a lot going on heading into the first home match for FC Cincinnati this year. And Jared, it's been a while since we've all been together. What has the Incline done to get people refamiliarized with support inside the stadium?
Yeah, I'm hoping things will make it a little bit easier for people to kind of get more involved. Maybe they could at Nippert. So to start, hopefully we'll have more flags being able to kind of spread out across the entire Bailey. We will, the drums and the drum platform will definitely make it a lot easier for people to get more involved. You guys were kind of talking about the aluminum, and I was there with Bill, and we were there. I think it was like 5 or 6 of us, and God, it was so loud in there. So when people start to get in there and start to get the songs going back up that we were singing 2 years ago at this point, I think it'll be muscle memory at that point. But yeah, the aluminum is a really big deal as well, because once people start stomping, I mean the place is going to be just really, really loud. It's already loud with just the drums. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how that translates.
So, obviously there's a lot of new stuff going on. You've already kind of talked about that a little bit, Jared. Where can fans reach out and find out more about the Incline Collective and learn about the march, the new march, right? And the various SGs that are part of the collective?
Yeah, so you can go to inclinecincy.com. We're also on Twitter. I think we're on Facebook. I'm not sure. I don't have Facebook, so fact check me on that one. But on that page, hopefully on our webpage, you should be able to go to, there's actually a tab called I'm New. And that will actually give you kind of a rundown of what to really expect when you come stand in the Bailey. It's pretty great to say stand and not sit/stand, but yeah, so it'll tell you, you'll have flags there, you'll have TIFOs, you'll have smoke, and then from there you can also look at all the different groups that are involved. There's a lot of different options for, you kind of just have to find one that makes the best fit for you. And then we've also got a section for the chants, a section for away days, and then also a news section, which we will be pushing out more information about the march, about a little bit more in-depth piece about what to kind of expect from the new Bailey, and anything that we kind of do going forward, TIFO nights, fundraisers, things like that.
You mentioned all of the various supporters groups, and talk about that a little bit, because I think, in the past, without the Incline Collective, right, there were groups, but mostly the big ones got noticed, right? And I think with the Incline Collective now kind of pulling everybody under an umbrella, there's a lot more groups now that are participating and getting involved and able to, be part of what's going on more so than in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's one of the big things of why some of us wanted to kind of start something a little bit more put together. Just because, it would become, obviously the big groups are kind of the ones in the meetings with the front office and kind of talking over things. And then I would, pass down that information to maybe some of the smaller groups and kind of have to do it word by, just word of mouth. And I think having us all under one group, on one umbrella, has made it a lot more efficient, really, to kind of allow the other groups to get involved, the smaller groups to get involved, and also kind of pave the way for, hey, like if you're going to start a group and you really, really want to be involved with some of the stuff that's going on, either sweat equity or helping pay for TIFOs or just painting, we want to make sure that we can pave a way to allow those groups to be involved as well, and it not just be the big groups that have all the power and all the say. So that's kind of the goal. It's a learning process as we go. So hopefully over the years, we'll kind of refine it and get a little bit better with it. But I think it's a good start.
Of course, you're the president of Innenstadt, another large supporters group, and of course CST. We're going to be putting out, I think, over the next couple months, depending which game, where each group's meeting. Whether you want to go with Hanger or Brigade or Norden or whoever the Mafia are now, check Twitter on that one. Where's DI going to be, and where can they hang out with you guys if they choose to do so pregame?
Yeah. So first 3 matches, we're actually going to be starting at Sam Adams Tap Room. I think it's right off Central Parkway there. Really nice outdoor beer garden. We're going to be there from, I think this Sunday we'll be there around 11. I think that's when they open. It's going to be a great time. It'll be nice to finally see everybody again. I would suggest if you are planning on coming down, whether it be Sam Adams or Northern Row or Taft's or any of the other places that other SGs are going to be at, just get there early, because most likely it's going to be a capacity cut off at some point, and just be patient. It's going to be a big learning experience for both all of the groups in the SGs and entire fan base in a new neighborhood, but it's also going to be a learning experience for the neighborhood and for the bars and restaurants there that haven't been this slammed in the last couple of years. So yeah, we'll be at Sam Adams. Come on down, and I'd love to see you guys there. If not, there's plenty of options. Like I said, inclinecincy.com. You should be able to find a group that maybe fits your needs best.
Awesome. Well, Jared, I know you're a busy man. Thank you again for coming back on the show. We always love hearing about the latest going on with the SGs and what you're doing at Innenstadt. Tell folks where they can find more information about DI as well.
Yep. You can go to Innenstadt.com, or you can find us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I think that's the only social medias that exist right now. There might be new ones, I don't know. And yeah, you can find us at our website for more information. And we should have a blog post coming out here soon, hopefully in the next couple of days, kind of detailing some more of the finer details for Sam Adams. But yeah, thanks for having me, guys. It's always a pleasure. I really appreciate you letting me come on and talk about SG stuff. And you guys have been just as big of a part of this as anyone else. So kudos to you guys.
Well, we appreciate the kind words, and we appreciate you, man. You put a lot of hard work in the off season hours that nobody probably recognizes. And we know that you put in a lot of work. So we thank you as well, sir.
Appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
It's Jared Handra from Innenstadt and the Incline Collective joining us here. And a special thanks to Rhinehaus for supporting us in this segment of the show. Before we get out of here, I think there's some news we should talk about regarding a certain center back reported to be joining FC Cincinnati. Jeff Cameron, formerly of QPR, and believe it or not, once played in Major League Soccer many years ago. I think it was for the Houston Dynamo, if I'm not mistaken, Bri. Pat Brennan from the Cincinnati Enquirer reporting that he will be arriving to the Orange and Blue and playing for FC Cincinnati. Your thoughts?
Yeah, get that guy in here today, get him quarantined, and get him on the pitch on Sunday. I mean, we got to play Higuain and all those good guys. So, yeah, I mean, controversial in some aspects. If you go to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com, I did a little commentary on Jeff Cameron. He, as I said, he's been a little controversial with some statements over the past couple of years, and I think we're all a little worried about how dynamic of that player fits into a locker room in present day United States. So I'm hoping that he fits well. It can be a leader, just like he was the captain at Queens Park Rangers in the English Championship. I'm very optimistic that he could be a great mentor for Viacia, but I'm not holding my breath. I guess, I've been snake bitten, as I put in my story, so many times with several FC Cincinnati players. I'm not trying to throw all my hopes and dreams on them, because it's the hope that kills you. But I think he'll be a good mentor, hopefully, to some of our younger players. Bill,
he's 35, going to be 36 in July.
Yeah.
The question is, what's left in the tank?
Well, I mean, Bryce mentioned he was the captain for QPR, so you would think that he must have a little something left in the tank, or they wouldn't have given him that position. I think my thing, I've said it in the past, and I think right now our back line has been in need of some leadership, lacking that. And he certainly seems like he has the capability to provide that. I was looking for a veteran presence back there to kind of shore us up. I'm not sure I was quite thinking about that veteran. But let's not, make decisions until we see him. We certainly need some help back there. So
yeah.
I'm open.
Yeah. I mean, I spoke to a couple guys over in London about Cameron, and they raved about his performance this year. I don't know how many of our listeners know about the English Championship, but it's not a game every Saturday. It's Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday, or Saturday, Wednesday. So he's gone through a grind. He's kind of built for this little summer grind that we're about to have here. I would have loved to have had him here as a footballer 3 years ago, trying to build a core group around us, being 35, 36, he's had injury concerns. He's coming off an injury right now. So I hope that physical he's undergoing is squeaky clean. But I mean, this guy has a wealth of experience in the Premiership and the Championship. I mean, we're not talking about guys coming over from what I like to call soft league in the Eredivisie. I mean, they're coming from a blue collar, studs up, hardcore English Championship.
46 matches a year.
Yeah. And that's something I like to see more guys come in. Like you see Mukacho coming in from a league like that, and he's been able to stick in on tackles. He seems comfortable a little bit with his back to the forwards, like he's been a little bit. So I'm pretty optimistic about this. Now, is he going to be a center back? Is he going to be a D-mid? Is he going to be right back? He's a versatile player. I imagine he's going to be center back here to start. We'll see what happens with Van der Werth coming back from injury in July. We'll see how Valencia transitions. So maybe those guys come back and start playing well, and we can put him in the 6 role or the 8, whatever, in the middle of the park and really jam up that area. But I mean, if you're a struggling club like FC Cincinnati and you need somebody to just kind of calm everybody down, a player with his pedigree is a pretty good signing.
Yeah, for me, I look at this signing, and yes, I'm concerned about the age. But at this point, what do they have to lose? What do they have to lose? I mean, yes, we don't know what kind of salary he's going to be on Bry.
Probably high.
Yeah,
I mean, max contract.
Right.
I mean, he's making $1 million last year.
He's not going to be a DP.
No,
probably not. No,
but he's probably a TAM player. But at the same time, I think that the only concern is less about how much we're paying him now, because I think we have some GAM to float around with. But it's more about like what the length of his contract looks like.
Yes,
if we're signing him for a 2-year or a 3-year deal, then it starts to get a little scary that we actually place him into kind of our what do you call it, debt column for a long period of time.
You're starting to look at the roster, and you're starting to get a lot of money tied up into some older players. Yeah. Now you got Vermeer. We don't know how much money he's on, but probably a good chunk of change, depending on the MLS roster rules. He could be 68,000 or whatever. We don't know yet. You got Kuba on a lot of money. You got Cruz on a lot of money. You got Madunanin on a lot of money on guys who are just sitting there. So
on the bench, and
we don't need him in 2 more years sitting on the bench. Now, if he's a good role model, and one of the guys I was talking to was saying, like, you always like to have a veteran and a young guy, a true veteran and a young guy, somebody who's going to be invested in doing it. And from the reports I've talking with the guys over at QPR, he's been that mentor to a lot of really young players over in QPR, and they think the world of him. Over there. I mean, okay, Luke Phelps of the 72.co, I put this in my story. His quote was, returning to the U.S., Cameron will no doubt do so to a hero's welcome, and having shown in his 34 championship appearances that he can still compete, expect Cameron to be a key player. I mean, that's a pretty glowing endorsement for a 35-year-old coming in here. I mean, I know they don't respect Major League Soccer as much, but I mean, we had concerns with Mukacho coming in. Okay, does he have the legs? Where they're saying, he should be able to compete, and I'm hopeful.
Yeah, we'll see. We don't have specifics on the length of the deal. as soon as we know more and as soon as it's announced, we'll definitely be covering over at CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. We did mention very briefly last week that Kenneth Vermeer, goalkeeper from LAFC, joining FC Cincinnati. That was officially announced last week. And the reason for him being able to sign, because he is an international player, is because the club have announced that Michael van der Werf is on the injured list and not eligible to return to action until July. Must be a pretty significant injury for what he's been dealing with, that they've had to make this move. But again, Vermeer, a goalkeeper, is he going to come in here and push TT?
Oh man!
And then the club also announcing last week they've loaned out Ben Lund to Phoenix Rising. So,
well, I think I said this last week about Vermeer. We don't know how much money he's on. If it's a 65 or 60, whatever that minimum contract due to waiving him and things like that, okay, I'm a little bit more okay with it. But still, that international spot, that's tough. That's just tough to have him eat that up, especially because he's coming off very mixed reviews at LAFC. He lost his starting job, and I mean, yeah, he's probably has some familiarity with Coach Jaap Stam, but listen to the guys on Extra Time Radio this past week. That's, to me, this is like the biggest head scratcher in the world. I mean, doesn't make a lot of sense roster structure wise, but I mean, there's something to be said about, water's coming into the ship and you need to have some guys you trust. So,
I mean, I think it's obvious that we had a problem, right? I mean, TD got hurt. Cropper stepped in. That was not pleasant. Lunt gets loaned out. So there's something there. And then of course we have Beckham, who is, 18 years old and never played a professional game yet. So, he's definitely not the guy you want to be leaning on for your backup until he gets, little legs under him with some smaller games. So you need a solid backup keeper, and it seems like we didn't have one. So to me, you're making a Hail Mary pass at this point. You're trying to find somebody to fill that spot. I think the question that the fans are asking is how did we get here? Right. I mean, we walked out of last year with two keepers that both seemed pretty adequate. And we let one go, and then we brought Cropper in, who,
and Lunt. We thought we had a really good one.
Yeah, USL Keeper of the Year, and then we kept him in the preseason. Obviously something happened in preseason that made us feel that we couldn't keep him. Obviously, none of us really got to see much of that with half a game in Chicago, where I thought he looked pretty good. But something obviously happened, and we moved on. But why did we actually, when it came down to roster day, why did we put him on the roster? Why didn't we loan him out then? And I think that's the question. We ended up with 4 keepers where people were already scratching their head about that. And then 2 of them look like they're not going to work for us, and we're making a fix. Yeah. So we're making a change of a change, right? We had 3 keepers basically last year, and
I'm also surprised we didn't loan out Beckham Sunderland. Like, why?
Yeah, 30 or he's spot 29 or 30. I mean, you only can use so much there. So
yeah, but get him experience. He could probably play at a USL club, right?
Well, we don't know about MLS Next and all that stuff coming up.
Oh, that's true. Good point.
Yeah. Now I think Brad and Ken, when we allow them back on from the penalty box next week, I think they will have quite a bit to say about Vermeer and Jeff Cameron and why we're, I would say, forced to bring Cameron on or allowed to bring Vermeer on. I think there's a lot of things out there that you can look up, even some of our writing, but a lot of this boils down to some questionable roster building decisions again. As I said it last week, 3 games in, talk to me in 10 games in, because I think I could have quite a bit difference in that time.
Still,
Bjorn, I can't wait for that show.
Yeah. 3 weeks, 3 matches in, 3 tough opponents, right? I mean, Nashville's no slouch.
New York's first. New York's first, and they drew Orlando too.
Yeah. So we'll see. I think we'll get a pretty good idea where things stand this weekend. Miami, I mean, we'd like to think the Miami's not great, but they do have 2 pretty talented guys named Higuain. So we'll see. But yeah. interesting news regarding the roster. Of course, if there is more news regarding any additional signings, you know where to find it, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. Before we get to our one of my favorite segments of the show, our Apple Podcast reviews, where are you two going to be pre-gaming this weekend?
Well, Jared kind of scared the crap out of me a little bit about getting to spots early enough. My whole thought was I'd start at like Northern Row with the Pride and Norden, and then go to, I think Taft's is where the Brigade is, and then
You better start early.
and then the pitch is where the Mafia, not Mafia is. And then, I mean, actually, I think I was going to start at Rhinehaus, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. I think I'm definitely going to start at Rhinehaus because I love that place. And anytime I get to go down there, I'm gonna do it.
Bill?
I'll be at Northern Row. So obviously with my Pride family there, and part of the march and all that fun. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing pictures of everybody together again, whether you're on CST, whether you are part of an SG. Like I just can't wait to see all the posts on social from everybody.
It's gonna be fun.
That's going to be awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, and guys, if you're listening to this, I think Jeff mentioned it earlier. The club is in a very difficult position, but I mean, if you have the ability, please come down. That's the part I'm most looking forward to. Like last Sunday when we got to tour the stadium, I got to see like Matt Rock, and I got to see so many guys like Josh Gobby. Like I haven't seen that guy in a year and a half, and just love talking to all these people. And I mean, I just can't wait to see y'all there, and I don't know, fist bump or face mask, all that cool stuff. I just can't wait to see you guys. I mean, literally.
Yeah. I'm very jealous. I'm not going to lie, but I'll be watching it from a warm seat on a couch here in my home in Toledo. But yeah. All right. Should we do some Apple podcast reviews?
Oh, please.
Absolutely.
Tickle.
So last week we asked you to leave a review mentioning Coach's basement cat, which is still haunting me in my dreams with those scary eyes. So we got a couple of them. This one is from Corndog64. They say, great FCC podcast. These guys aren't just some random basement cats throwing together a random podcast. They know their stuff and are great to listen to. So Corndog, thank you for that. This one is from, I don't even know how to say, I'm not even going to say the name because I don't even know how to read it. It says, what a show. If you like a basement cat, this podcast will claw you out of the dungeon darkness of FCC play and bring you to the bright sunshine of the possibilities still to come. #demand better.
Oh, I'm enjoying. So I don't know if any of y'all were watching this past week, but Coach had a cat in his basement, and I swore he was gonna like kill somebody. It looked possessed like a demon.
I thought I was going to jump on his back and just take a bite out of his jugular.
For a guy who's so close to his faith, his cat looked pretty evil.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. This next review did not mention a basement cat, but it was so good I felt like we needed to read it anyway. This is from RJR1970. The title is one of, if not the best, MLS specific team podcasts. Cincinnati Soccer Talk started with the inception of FC Cincinnati as a USL team. The host brought entertaining discussions and insights into play on the field from the very beginning and have continued to bring it for 250 episodes now. If you want really great soccer talk and specific information on FC Cincinnati, check out this podcast. Thank you so much for the review, RJR. So Brian and Bill, we've got to come up with a phrase. What do we need to have in this week's Apple Podcast review?
Have we done Skyline Soccer Ball or anything like that?
We've done
Yes.
Skyline. We did the order, the four-way onion and cheese conies.
Got it. I was going to say for this week, I bought an extra $10 Skyline Soccer Ball, and for the
Nice.
winner.
Nice.
Could use the incline somehow.
Ooh, I like that.
I like that. What about a nod to maybe a team up north rebranding? Rebrand?
Ooh.
You dog.
Columbus goatee.
Oh man, what did Jonah call it? Like a nib or something like that?
Yeah.
Jeff Tebbett's getting some recognition from Jason Davis, our pal over at SiriusXM, that it looks like a drink cup.
Yes,
Yeah.
it does actually.
Hmm.
With the 2 stars, make it a straw.
I would say let's just try to do your best shot at at Columbus and kind of go from there.
Yeah, I think I agree with that one.
Yeah, I like it.
Give us take your best shot at the crew. I'm sorry,
They're not the
No,
Columbus SC logo.
God, what idiots! Golly, I know. I you know, it stinks because so a lot of us rooted for Columbus at some point prior to FC
Speak for
Cincinnati.
yourself, Brian Weigel.
Bill, season ticket holder, and I have pictures with my infant son in his crib with a Columbus Crew shirt over it. I apologize. I made mistakes just like I was a teenager. Made dumb mistakes. But it's like, come on, the Crew. That's it.
I don't understand.
Oh well.
I would understand if they rebranded to Crew SC and dropped the Columbus. But why would you drop the Crew? Like it just doesn't make any sense to me. I just
Josh Gobby, they need to name the little triangle Dorito.
Oh my goodness.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yes, save the Crew.
Yep. Anyway, as we begin to wrap things up here, just a reminder, if you want to support the show, CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/support, or if you want to get a Demand Better shirt, watch your tackles, a CST shirt, our three-way shirt, head on over to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com/shop. Use promo code podcast. And you can get 10% off your order, folks. So again, thanks everybody for their generosity and support, and looking forward to seeing some of these shirts, hopefully this weekend at TQL Stadium. All right, gentlemen, anything else we need to get to this week? Did I miss anything?
Oh, I'm sure we did, but just stay tuned to CincinnatiSoccerTalk.com. The amount of stories we've put up there, even in the bye week, was outstanding. And I know Rob is an editing machine this week. So, yeah, stay tuned. I think we had three or four articles out today. Is that right?
Writing staff has been on fire.
Hey, I wrote 3 in the past week. I've got another one coming, and I won't see you guys for another 2 months on the writing side. So, my quota.
Is that your final thought, Bri? Are we going to count that one as your final thought?
Yeah,
you got your final thoughts?
We'll call that my final thought. I do have my Incline Collective membership card here, so pretty excited about that. Cannot wait to see you guys. Please, if you see us, say hi. Like, I just want to see y'all.
Thanks for being on the show again this week, Bri.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. I got to travel for work, so
enjoy your week off next Monday night.
Yep. Oh, week off. Oof.
Appreciate you, buddy.
You too, pal.
Of course, I always appreciate this man, the Wolfman, Bill Wolf. Bill, you got any final thoughts?
Yeah, I do. Obviously, Sunday is our first march in West End, or OTR/West End. We are in a new community, a different community, a community that doesn't know us. It's going to be different. We don't have the years of trust that we built up at University of Cincinnati with the law enforcement there, the fire department there, and we have a new home for ourselves, but we have to earn that trust again. So I'm asking that, please join the march and please have fun and let's, do what we do, but we do need to kind of be aware of the fact that this is a new place and they don't know us. Right. So we should kind of respect that, try not to leave it in worse shape than we started with. Please don't litter. Please don't, destroy things or kick over trash cans or anything in your excitement. Just, let's focus on having fun, but also respecting that community and showing the law enforcement and the fire department that we are partners and that they should work with us and that we can truly have a great relationship and do something exciting and wonderful for the city again and have some of those wonderful visions of masses of people. But, I think we need to kind of earn that a little bit in this new home.
Bjorn says, don't be that guy.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yep. Well, as always, Bill, appreciate you and congrats on your big day as well.
Yep. It's going to be great.
My final thoughts. I want to just give a big shout out and thanks to everybody who tuned in last Wednesday for our first Twitter Spaces event with Pat Brennan from the Cincinnati Enquirer, Laurel Failer from QueenCityPress.net, and Tyler Snipes from SBI Soccer. We will be doing it again this upcoming Wednesday at 10 o'clock. So we'll be discussing the latest surrounding FCC So follow each of us on Twitter, and hopefully we'll have the technical. It wouldn't be a CST thing, right? If we had technical issues, I feel like that's kind of our MO. Like that's what we do around here. We always have technical issues. Although I would say we have kind of cleared that up over the last few months, thanks to our new system here. But yeah, so make sure you check us out there. Also, don't forget, we've got March to Match Day. Brad in Boston will be previewing this week's match with Inter Miami. I believe they recorded that thing tonight, so it should be available at some point tomorrow. And, Coach will be, he may be taking the week off because he didn't have a match to break down. I got to clarify that with him. But either way, go get subscribed to Talking Tactics with Coach Brad Goff, because he does a great job with that podcast. So make sure you go get subscribed to that, and so you don't miss a single episode of CST. That is going to do it for this episode of Cincinnati Soccer Talk presented by Fulcrum Fives. Again, remember, use promo code Soccer Talk over at fulcrumfives.com to get your league fee discount of 10% off. My thanks to Jeff Berding from FC Cincinnati and Jared Handra from the Incline Collective for joining us this week. And of course, my thanks to Brian Weigel and the Wolfman Bill Wolf. I'm Subs. FCC fans, enjoy the home opener this weekend, no matter where you're watching, and we'll see you all next week.